This is DJ Dogbone with Modsnap Radio, and I am here with Mr.Kitty at the Mix, and he's going to be performing tonight. And he's got a new album that came out back in March. The last time we talked to him, he told us to be prepared for something very special because it was going to be gigantic.
Yes.
And it was definitely that.
Of
and
course.
So can we talk a little bit about that new album? There's a couple other things I want to talk to you about, but let's talk about that first, because I noticed that there seems to be one continuous theme throughout that album. It seems to be dedicated to a specific theme,
yes.
or a person, perhaps, or
yes.
emotions. Can we talk a little bit about that?
The album is dedicated to my friend that passed away in February, who took his life by suicide. And I really wanted to focus on the subject of loss instead of, just like one thing. So I didn't want to be selfish and be like, oh yeah, this is all for my friend. I wanted it to be, loss and like emotional or physical, just different types of loss, different types of, temporariness, I guess.
Well, I have to tell you that I was very impressed with this album.
Thank you.
I feel like it was the most mature piece that you've done. I think you've grown so much as an artist from album to album to album, and but wow, 30 tracks. I mean, that's a double album. How have the fans reacted to such a large album compared to your other albums?
It's been really crazy because I didn't think anybody was going to pay attention. Because a lot of the times people are putting out singles, and I don't do that. It's like if I'm going to put out music, I'm either going to put out a lot of it or not at all. Definitely putting out 30 tracks is like a lot of fans have actually sat through it and listened to it, and I find it like, really humbling that they're like, we dedicated 2 hours of our day to listen to this. And then they're like, well, I listened to it. Well, where's more? They listen to it again, It's very humbling. It's very nice that everybody likes it, I guess.
Well, I think that's the thing too, is when I listen to the album, I want to listen to the whole thing all the way through. There's a level of consistency and fluidity with the album. Like for me, sometimes I end up skipping through an album sometimes to get to the songs that I really like, but for some reason, this album really spoke to me in a very beautiful way. Mm-hmm. And it starts out with that church style music,
Oh yeah, that's my choir. I figured out how to make myself like a Gregorian chant type choir, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna make this the intro because I wanted to turn it to a full-length song, but I figured to make it like epic.
Well, that it is. And when you talk about releases, one of the things I didn't get a chance to talk to you about last time is that you started reissuing some of your previous work.
Oh yes.
So what made you decide to do that?
I think that I've matured with like producing music and mixing and mastering and all of that nonsense. But so I listened to a lot of my previous work, and a lot of it's kind of inconsistent with levels, and it could hit harder or it could sound better, I guess. So I reissued Death and Eternity because a lot of people like the songs from those two albums, but they didn't really know that those kind of existed. But like the OG fans were kind of there for that, and I was like, maybe it's time. And so I remastered those two, and then there's plans to remaster the second two, but I kind of want to wait till the 10th anniversary of Death to put out like a box set to, have them all remastered in its entirety, I guess.
And I noticed that your cohort, Pastel Ghost, has been doing some remix albums, and she's working on a remix EP. Are there plans to do some additional remixes for this new album? Are we going to see some remixes of some of those tracks as well?
Maybe. I'm not entirely sure yet with like having any of the material remixed. Still kind of like I have to like play it out and like figure out if I'm really ready for like to give that personal part of me away,
right? And
to let other people interpret it or make it something else. So it's really weird. And then also like the last time I did remixes and let out stems, a lot of people sampled my content and used it in their own songs and didn't credit me. So,
oh yeah, and that could be something that.
Yeah, so I'm just really touchy about that because I don't like work, stuff that I put time and effort into, and somebody just takes it and it means something else, I guess. But it's cool, but it's like, just ask me.
Well, I was actually expecting you to do your own remixes, but I guess what I'm getting from you is what ends up on the album is the exact version of
Oh, yeah.
the interpretation of whatever the song is.
Yeah, I think when you release a song, there's only one time to do it, and you have to do it the right way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like, for like live performances and stuff, I have remixed songs and, made them faster, put more like sounds into it, or, just made them like, not like ballads, because I really don't do that. I kind of like to take a song that's like, it already goes hard, but make it harder, I guess.
Sure. So what's going on with you now? So this album came out in March. You're out on tour. I noticed that you and Pastel and another band are going to be touring.
Wirespine from, Canada. Vancouver. Duo from Vancouver. They make music that's similar to Boy Harsher and Light Asylum. It's very hard electro. Jessie is a very powerful front woman, and I'm glad that they're on the label Negative Gain, because it's just like there's nothing like them. There's stuff that sounds like it, but their energy is just it's so chaotic, and I feel intimidated by them.
How does a tour like that come together? Do you put it together? Is there a person behind all that? I mean,
well, usually when we go out on tours, we go out with a bigger band, and we're like the direct support or secondary support or whatever. But this one we decided we're going to do it all ourselves. So my manager decided, we can book a tour. So we've booked 3 parts. So we've got West Coast in September, East Coast, Midwest in October. In December is the southern states, like New Orleans, or not New Orleans, Louisiana, and then Atlanta and stuff like that, Florida. And then November, we're going to Europe and Russia.
So is that the first time you've ever toured Europe? Have you been there before?
I've been to Europe multiple times.
So what's the reception out there?
They're really goth, is what I'll say. In Europe, goth is taken very seriously. It's not like a costume, anybody could be goth.
Right.
But it's they take the music and they take the look so seriously. It's they see a band like me coming in, they're like, oh, well, this is a new interpretation of what goth is. And they dig it. They lose their minds every time.
So what does your stage performance look like when you do a show in Europe? And does it differ from something that you do here in the U.S.?
It's the same setup, same lights, same everything. We just have to cram everything into suitcases and hope that it weighs enough and we can get onto the plane with it. And
do you have time to do record shopping or anything like that when you get out there? Or is it just pull into the city, get set up, go to the hotel, have a couple of drinks, get back over there, do the show, go down, and then go to the next city? I mean, how intense is that? How intense is that tour?
We usually kind of keep it pretty focused. I don't really like to do anything outside of doing business, like playing shows and being in one place to the other. Because a lot of what we're doing is driving, and driving in Europe is really pretty because there's lots of scenery. And I think the one thing that we do shop at is the gas stations. There's always wild stuff there. It's just bizarre. You see drinks that you're why don't we have this in the US? They had a Red Bull that had a screw-on cap. I was so amazed, and I was like, wow, I could save my Red Bull for later. When I
was in London, I had the the green tea Kit Kat.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
I eat those religiously. Anytime I go to the Asian supermarkets, I get the big bag of them. I don't usually try to eat 1 or 2, but I just end up eating the whole bag in 5 minutes.
They're so good. So what now? You're here tonight, and where are you headed in the next couple of weeks, and when does that tour actually start?
So the tour for the West Coast starts in September. It starts September 6th in Austin, Texas at Yale Elysium. And then after this show, I have a week off, and then the next week after that, I'm going to Mexico City and Leon for 2 shows.
So that's another place where I was really surprised the electronic music does extremely well.
Yeah.
And goth music too. Clan of Zymox goes down there, and they do amazing shows down there too.
They're very enthusiastic about alternative culture. It's so good to see. They have a whole supermarket called El Choco, which is all just alternative clothes, anything goth, anything alternative, studs, spikes, band t-shirts, horror t-shirts. It's all this outdoor market. They have shows outside. It's so cool to see a city that's really into alternative culture and looking cool and like liking good music.
Well, awesome. Mr. Kitty, thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
some time with us,
Of course.
and please have a great show.
Thank you.
This has been DJ Dogbone with Modsnap Radio. Stay tuned to our station for more awesome music and interviews like this.
Thank you.